friends, welcome. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. If you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you as a subby friend. And happy December 26th, the day after Christmas. And I hope you guys had a fantastic Christmas or holiday, however it is that you celebrate. I hope it was full of happiness and love and family, and maybe you even got a good present or two. I have a couple friends who got crickets, so I am actually working on, I'm gonna do one video of just everything to get started with cricket, because I know there's a whole bunch of videos out there. You watch this one and then this one and this one, and I'm gonna try and do one. It might be a little long, but I'm in the process of working on it. I'm hoping to put it up tomorrow, but I'm gonna do just one video that kind of covers all the basic stuff so that you don't have to search around and find it. Today's video, I made a little dog tag for my puppy, but this one is really cool because I did the bubble technique on it. So if you can see in there, it sort of looks like, you know, the face of the moon, the pattern that it gives, and it's really kind of cool. You know, it's one of those techniques that I like a lot. I think it's really, really interesting, and it definitely makes for some cool pieces. So if you'd like to see how I did it, just stay tuned and we will make this. And I hope you guys have a blessed and beautiful day, and I'll see you later, friends. Bye. I'm gonna make a dog tag using the bubble method. So for this, you need regular epoxy, and you do need UV resin as well. Okay, so we want to start out, we want our base to not be very much at all. I have some blue paint already out from a project that I previously did, and this is this blue metallic. It's this Deco Art blue metallic, and that is what I'm going to mix in with my epoxy right now. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, why did you just ruin your fan brush putting it in epoxy? I need it to be like, I like to take these fan brushes and have one that is solid for certain things. So I'm actually putting it in the epoxy, fanning it out. I'm doing two things with one because I'm going to let that dry just like that. So now, like I said, I don't want a lot of epoxy in here because this is pretty thin and I need room to work and have some layers. Now, do you see how this is a little bit stringy? So I didn't put a whole lot of paint in here, but I still put too much, and that's why it is stringy, which is fine for doing this project. But if you're going to be doing paint on like a tumbler with epoxy, in that case you definitely don't want to put too much, because you don't want it to be stringy, which I used to do. Like, I used to make it super stringy, which in one hand is nice because it's so thick to work with, but I mean, you don't want it stringy. Now, this is going to be made up of 3 layers, so that's why I'm not, you know, wanting to put very much epoxy in here, because I need to have room. Right, so we're going to let this dry, and then we are going to come back and finish. All right, so hopefully the light is enough. It is before work, so it's like 4:30 in the morning right now. Now, I have a cup, it's just got a little bit of water and some soap in it. You can use any kind of soap you want. And then I have my straw. I'm just blowing bubbles. And I've got quite big bubbles. I want some smaller ones. All right. So now I've got my UV resin. And I don't want to put a lot, just a little. But I do want to cover the whole thing. I'm just going to use a toothpick to blend it all around. I have my little spoon and I want to get bubbles. They pop easy, so you gotta be careful. Okay. Now I'm going to take my UV light, put it over it for 90 seconds. All right, now sometimes I do have to do the 90 seconds like a second time. So this is, can you see the little craters in there? Now I've also done this with bubble wrap. All right, so I have mica powder. This isn't actually mica powder. This is actually eyeshadow, but same thing. My pigments, and I'm using a makeup brush. So now I'm just going to brush over it. And do you see how pretty that looks? Gives it this cool pattern. And then I like to just use my brush and, you know, brush off anything extra that's in there. So now I'm going to put another layer of epoxy, but again, it's going to be super, super thin because I need to still do 2 layers, because I'm going to do a small layer of epoxy, thin layer, and then I'm going to put his name and then another layer. All right, so we'll mix up some epoxy and come back and do this. And also, I just want to show you this real quick. Like I said, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning and it's a little bit cool out. So my epoxy is a little bit on the cool side. So what I do when that happens, you can see it's like thick and cool. So I should have gloves on right now. I just forgot to stick them on. But I'm not touching anything. I'll put it on before I do any mixing. So before even though I'm going to use the epoxy mixer, before I put it in, and that's only 2 cc's of epoxy. But before I put it in the epoxy mixer, because it is cool, I just put it in some hot water. I use my Keurig because I get the water quickly and it's certainly hot enough. But just so you see, and I just put it in for a couple minutes, just enough to, you know, sort of warm it a bit so that it mixes a little bit smoother. Be careful not to get any water in your epoxy or you'll mess it up. So again, it's just a little tiny bit. Only 2 cc's. You see how cool looking this looks? Now it's not, certainly not all the way dry, but it's dry enough that I can go ahead and put my decal in my next layer. I want you guys to see how cool it looks. Wait. Now I'm just gonna put my name on. All right, so we put our name on with our decal, and now we will put one last coat of epoxy on this. It has taken such a long time because the weather keeps changing. It has taken such a long time because the weather keeps changing here in Florida. So I got just cold, warm, and then every time it's cold, I can't do anything. Generally, when I use my epoxy mixer, I don't have any bubbles, but if I do, I can always use my heat gun, and I might take my heat gun to this just because, you know, it's been a little bit cold. So here it is finished. I want you to see how the bubble pattern looks. It's cool, something different. Very cool. I don't want any pokey ends, so I just sprayed some alcohol on it, and I'm just taking my sandpaper over the ends, over the edges. And this is a 600, so I don't want it like super, I want it pretty smooth, you know, I don't want it like super roughed up. I'm so happy to be getting some epoxy projects finished because the weather's just been awful. I really like using coffee filters on when I'm using alcohol and things because they don't leave lint. And they're pretty inexpensive. Okay. And that's good. It looks good. See the bubble pattern on there? It's kind of hard to get the full effect on the camera, but it's definitely pretty cool. And then the back of it is just the blue where I use the acrylic paint on it or in it. So yeah, I really like how it turned out. I think it's super cute. My dog's laying in the back and the ring keeps going off. That's why you keep hearing that. You are currently being recorded. And I'm gonna put a little ring on it. And there we go. A little dog tag. Now, you could also, like, I could have put in, like, phone number back here, but he has a little metal one that I engraved. I used my Cricut to engrave it, but I didn't show it to you guys because it has, like, my phone number and stuff on it. But, yeah, and, you know, it's kind of two-toned there where I use the different colors. So, yeah, I like it. All right, listen, I hope you guys have a blessed and beautiful day, friends, and I'll see you later. Bye.